And go to superintendent's report.
Yes, good evening, trustees. The first part of my report is a presentation. I'd like to introduce a young lady who has joined our district, and she's taken on a very difficult and interesting job in our district, which is the Director of Human Resources and Risk Management. So I'd like to introduce Ms. Nikki Washington. And she's been hard at work since, even before Monday, but definitely since Monday. And so she's our new Director of HR and Risk Management. We had our Agenda Online training last week, and just a reminder, we go live with the Agenda Online by the June 11th meeting. So we still need 2 of our board members to be trained, which would be you, Ms. Aguilar, and Mr. Kim. So please make contact with Janet so that she can provide you.
Can you elaborate a little bit so the audience knows?
Yes, the Agenda Online training. The Agenda Online is where a program that we have secured so that the agendas are generated in an online format, and where our school staff can send the items directly to Ms. Burgos through the online program. They get automatically placed. The attachments are automatic attachments, so that if anything has to be moved or reordered, it's basically done by a click of a button. And again, it should facilitate the preparation of our agendas for our board meetings, and will allow people at the site to make the necessary changes that they need to make on the stuff that they're submitting for agenda.
So there shouldn't be any issue or reason why stuff should
not be
submitted
any
on a timely basis.
There should not be any issues for untimely submissions.
Thank you.
Okay. I believe Mr. Pesqueira Gearup is the one who sponsored this afternoon's presentation. This afternoon, there was an excellent speaker at Calexico High School. I met her years ago, I believe when I was a teacher at Central Union High School District. Her name is Consuelo
Lieutenant Colonel.
But she was the highest ranking female in the U.S. military. At one point, Lieutenant Colonel Consuelo Castillo Kickbush, and she brought a strong yet compassionate message to, I believe, the senior class this afternoon. I would venture to say there were very few, if any, dry tears in the house. She just, the message that she drives about hard work and ethics and being thankful and respectful to your community and your family and their sacrifices. And I didn't get all of the presentation this afternoon, but I did get about the last 20 minutes, and it was just an incredible presentation. Kids lined up. They received a book, all part of the Gear, and it was all funded through Gear Up. So it was just incredible. I spoke to her briefly after her presentation, and we're looking to bring her back so that she can address even our underclassmen. The message that she has to deliver is tremendous. I know that she is here tonight at San Diego State at Rodney Auditorium, and I believe presenting to adults, to parents, yes, and the community. So again, I want to thank our student reps for what they've done this year, and they've really kept us informed about what's going on at the schools. Ms. Burgos either sent you or is sending you shortly the list of dates for the promotions that will be taking place next week. Mr. Kim sent her a reminder that he needed to know the dates, and I said, you know what, Ms. Burgos, I haven't sent the dates out to them, so please do so. And I believe if she hasn't done it, she'll be doing it in the next couple of days. Graduation at Calexico High, June the 7th, and so we will have a good turnout, I'm sure, like we always do. You know, I know that we know about the success of our high school softball team, but again, we went off to the school services workshop in San Diego last week, and you know, 3 of our board members, I believe, were there, Mr. Kim, Mrs. Aguilar, and Mrs. Vizcarra. But on the return trip, Miss Aguilar and I were able to attend the softball game in Poway, and it was an exciting softball game. It was a tremendous demonstration of skill and ability, and perseverance. It was a low-scoring game, unfortunately not in the favor of Calexico High School's girls softball team, but what I tried to remind the coach and some of the girls that I did get a chance to speak to was that the winners were not indicated on the scoreboard. We had a great cheering section from the parents. The girls were out there. They played their heart out, and it was only 2-0. Yeah. And it was a very young softball team in comparison to a much more mature Poway team. So, again, more to come from this softball team. I encourage our board members and our community to visit our website as much as you can. We try to keep it updated with the student, with the personal interest section. Mm-hmm. We've got pictures on there. We're trying to add video to it. And we've gotten some compliments regarding the recognitions that we're able to provide our students and on the website. What I attempt to do also is send emails district-wide to our teachers and our classified staff about what comes out in the paper, because not everybody has the opportunity to read what happens in the paper, and so everybody's really proud of what our kids do and what our staff does, and so we try to send this out via email. Unfortunately, I can't get to every single thing that comes out, and I did get an email from someone saying, well, we've got young girls in the elementary school who are on travel teams, etc., and I will acknowledge as many of our kids as I can, so long as I know who they are, and if I know there are kids, I will put them on the website. And so it's just been very interesting. It's been good to recognize them, and in that light, we had a couple of band concerts last week. I know we had Willie Moreno and Enrique Camarena. I was able to attend part of Enrique Camarena's, as it fell on the same night as the Estudiantina concert at the high school, which was extremely well put together. And I was able to take video clips of both, and I'm working with Mr. Perez, our tech, so to be able to put it on our website as well. The Mariachi Centinela participated in the Mariachi Festival, and which was also coincided with the night of our prom. And the Mariachi Centinela also has made a lot of presentations throughout the district on different days, such as Mother's Day. I've got video clippings of that. Hopefully I'll be able to get some of that footage on the website as well. We're working with our techs. Last week we also had the National Honor Society induction at Calexico High. So there's a lot of good things going on at our high schools and our elementary schools. We also thank our trustee Ciro Calderon for being able to join us on the employee recognition evening. It was a wonderful evening. I believe we had over 200 employees being recognized, and it was just a very nice evening. We had the Estudiantina play as well as the mariachi, so it was just a very nice showcase of our students' talents and serenading our employees for their 10, 15, 20, up to, I believe, 40-year mark of service in our district, and also our retirees. So it was a very, very good evening, and it was extremely well attended, and we heard a lot of good comments about it. We also had Calexico High School had its prom, like I said, on May 18th, I believe, 17th, 18th, and we had which was very well attended and very well put together. It was held at the Old Eucalyptus. I know there were some issues regarding the prom capacity. There were some students who were not able to get into the prom because it was just overbooked, and the Old Eucalyptus would not allow any additional students in the building. But it was a wonderful evening. And the last one I know that I relayed to you in my board report last Friday was, well, in emails, because I know you haven't gotten the board report, was some issues that came up with grad night. You know, I believe there were 7 buses that attended grad night, and there were some issues with a bus that broke down and other issues as well. And so I've just let you know in that email that you may have some parents raising concerns regarding the issues from grad night. And that's really all I have at this time. And that should be it.
Thank you. We have comments from the public. I have a request for oral communication from Raquel Arellano. Here. Thank you, Ms. Arellano.
Okay, go ahead, Ms. Arellano, but all persons are encouraged to attend and participate in meetings of the Calexico Unified School District Board of Trustees. Please fill out the form available at the door and submit to the Secretary of the Superintendent prior to the meeting. Your comments will be heard with no action under the designated section of this agenda. For all presentations, the presenter will limit his or her presentation to 5 minutes. Public comments will be limited to 10 minutes total, and each board member will limit his or her comments to 3 minutes. Each presentation, including public and board member comments, shall not exceed 20 minutes. For the record, state your name, title, whom you represent, and the agenda item you're addressing. You're not allowed to make personal attacks on individuals or make comments which are slanderous or which may invade an individual's personal privacy. The district will not respond to your comments at this time. Your questions, concerns, and input will be referred to the appropriate department. Go ahead, Ms. Arellano.
Buenas tardes. Yo escribí una carta, ¿verdad?, acerca de lo que yo sentí, pensé por mi hija dada por el prom y grad night. Pues a quien corresponda. Mi nombre es Raquel Arellano. Tengo una hija en el 12º año en Calexico High School. Con todo respeto, quiero manifestar mi descontento de cómo se ha tratado o llevado a esta generación hasta su graduación. Yo gradué de esta escuela también, y para mí todos los eventos de mi último año, como el prom, senior dress up day, grad night, etcétera, son cosas que te marcan. Son esos bellos momentos y experiencias que toda tu vida vas a recordar agradablemente. Pero este año, y digo este año porque es en el año que mi hija se gradúa, no ha sido muy agradable que digamos. Hablemos del prom. Muchos jóvenes se quedaron sin boleto, incluyendo a una sobrina. Porque no se trata de el que alcanzó bueno y el que no, ni modo. Se trata de buscar un lugar con más capacidad, donde quepan todos los seniors y más los extras. Mi sobrina y varias se quedaron con su vestido, que no les costó $1, y que no pudieron regresar. Se le planteó al director que había muchos maestros y seguridad, que por qué no quitaba unos pocos y cedía el lugar a algunos jóvenes, pero no hubo respuesta. Mi hija no le enseñó las fotos del prom a mi sobrina porque se sentía mal, pues mi sobrina duró 2 días llorando porque no pudo ir al prom. Y hablando de fotos, esa compañía que vino o que contrataron, no sé, para las fotos es demasiado cara, te cobra por todo. Nos cobró por retratarlas con el gown, les cobró por retratarlas con el cap. El paquete más barato que tenían era de $200. Obvio que muchos padres no pudimos comprarlas. Para el grad night fue una pesadilla. Primero les dijeron que no podían llevar nada, ni agua, ni comida, ni bolsas, nada, solo una bolsita de plástico. El jueves por la mañana yo fui personalmente a la escuela, pedí hablar con el director, pero me atendió el señor Santos y la señora Zazueta. Les llevé una bolsa pequeña para ver si mi hija la podía llevar. Les expliqué que a mi hija le daba vergüenza llevar la bolsa transparente, pues andaba en sus días del mes, y que tenía que llevar toallas femeninas. Les dije que la bolsa solo llevaría sus toallas, su celular, su cámara y su dinero. El señor Santos me dijo que esa bolsa estaba perfecta, que no querían nada más que llevaran bolsas grandes, pero que él me aseguraba que la bolsa que yo le mostré para mi hija, ella sí la podía llevar. Así que a la hora del lonche fui y se la llevé con sus toallas femeninas dentro. A las 3:20 de la tarde mi hija me llama y me dice que le quitaron la bolsa. Les soy sincera, sí me molesté, porque ahora ni bolsa de plástico ni nada, se tuvo que llevar todo en sus bolsas de su pantalón. Si ya las habían revisado las bolsas, se habían llevado los perros, yo no sé por qué les quitaron las bolsas. Ya en el gym les pusieron un video sobre la vida del mexicano. Dice mi hija que era algo así sobre el rico, el pobre. Los hacen hacer una línea en el sol por un buen rato. Ni agua, ni comida. 3 o 4 horas de camino, sin agua. El autobús se descompone, un autobús, se suben a otro para esperar que les manden otro. Y todo ese tiempo sin agua. Muchos jóvenes no llevaban ni dinero para comer o comprarse una botella de agua. Mi sobrina, la misma del prom, llegó con sus labios partidos y hasta un fuego, porque no pudo tomar agua hasta casi a las 8 de la noche que llegaron allá. Llegaron a Disneylandia y mi hija me habla, mamá, no nos dejaron entrar a Disneylandia. ¿Por qué? Por llegar tarde. Pienso yo que fue por la mala coordinación, porque en vez de irse temprano les ponen a ver un video de la cultura mexicana, que hasta ahorita no encuentro el propósito de eso. Así que los llevaron a California Adventures cuando les habían prometido otra cosa. Mi hija me dijo que estaba molesta y decepcionada, pues California Adventures estaba bien, pero nada que ver con Disneylandia. Y no solo ella estaba disgusta, sino todas sus amigas, y me imagino que muchos también estaban decepcionados. Si los coordinadores sabían que las puertas se cerraban temprano, ¿por qué se fueron tan tarde? Tengo sobrinos en el centro Imperial Hope y todos ellos dicen, tía, nosotros nos fuimos a las 11 de la mañana de nuestras high schools y aprovechamos todo el día y toda la noche en Disneylandia. Y estos jóvenes llegaron bien tarde. Si más que no nos escuchan, no nos dejan opinar, a veces no sabemos por qué nos tratan así. Pero la culpa no los tienen ellos, sino nosotros los padres que no levantamos nuestra voz y nos quedamos cruzados de brazos permitiendo las injusticias. Y ahora yo les pregunto, ¿qué podemos esperar para la graduación? Espero que tomen en cuenta estos detalles y hagan el compromiso, porque ustedes, nosotros con esos detalles también dañamos el comportamiento y la autoestima de nuestros estudiantes. Les puedo asegurar que hay jóvenes que nunca han ido a Disneylandia y ese era su año de conocer, disfrutar, porque sus padres hicieron el esfuerzo de pagarles ese boleto, porque vieron a sus hijos y tienen la satisfacción de que van a graduarse, porque para muchas familias el precio de ese boleto era un bill de la luz o uno del agua, pero el conocer Disneylandia para algunos no fue posible por errores de otros. Con todo respeto que se merecen, espero que hagan algo al respecto para que las cosas cambien o cambien a que tengan que cambiar. Y ya no para esta generación porque el tiempo no puede regresar, pero sí para las otras que vienen. Muchísimas gracias, Dios les bendiga. Mi nombre es Raquel Arellano.
Gracias, señora Arellano. Mrs. Florencia Nogales.
Good evening. Florencia Nogales, part-time ESL teacher at ABE. I would like to preface by saying that ABE is an integral part of the district. It is not a superfluous program that's on the side. Who are the high school subject students? They are the students who had been retained in grade school once, twice, more. They are the students who come in their teens late and do not complete their credits, have not achieved their proficiency in English to pass the CASE, complete their credits. We also have ESL. About funding in ABE, as some of you know, the ABE funds are swept because of the Tier 3. Because of the Tier 3, funding is swept from the ABE and it's gone to general funds, which is it's allowed, and that's the way it is. However, I think it should be recognized that ABE has done its part and beyond, and that it helped the district in obtaining and maintaining its solvency and avoiding state takeover. This is my 17th year as a teacher, and I'm working part-time, 18 hours. This is definitely not equitable with other teachers in the district with this many years experience. We were placed on part-time by Mr. Fergali last year. We meaning 3 ABE teachers are left in the program. We initially were 11 teachers in ABE some years back, and we have been cut every year. The 3 of us were placed on part-time. We were led to believe that after Proposition 30 passed, we would become part-time. It is the end of the year, and we are still part-time. It has been a financial hardship for the 3 of us, duress, so much that one of our teachers has decided that she can no longer continue, and sadly and tearfully has decided to retire. She's a teacher who has worked many years as a teacher, has worked for the district over 30 years. To become a teacher was her goal. And today, there she was in dark glasses and tears. It's a sad situation. Last year, there were the board members, and this is what I am told. The board members, being Ms. Romo, Ms. Duarte, I'm sorry she's not here, Mr. Valenzuela, and but there are other people, I know Ms. Aguilar and Mr. Kim were aware of decisions that were being made. Mr. Frugali was there, and of course Teresa Estrada, the Director of Personnel, that one of the teachers, one of the ABE teachers, would become full-time teacher. And this was the agreement, the one with the most seniority. I am the one with the most seniority, so I'm pleading my case that you give the directive that I be placed full-time for this coming year. And I thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Mrs. Nogales. Mr. Ernie Samarripa. Oh. Mrs. You'll wait for the, okay. Raul Ureña, Mr. Raul Ureña. Okay. So then we will move on to consent agenda. Are there any items that board members want to have pulled? Mr. Kim?
Yes, I'd like to pull G3, 5, and 6.
None.
See no further to be? Okay. Okay. Is there a motion to approve items G1, 2A and C, 4A through F? Motion by Zuno Vizcarra. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Calderon. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 No.
Motion passes 3-1. Item G, 2B, Ms. Zuno Vizcarra.
There's the request to approve a contract with Soliant Healthcare, pending us having a, it's not on? It is, it's on here. I'm just not loud enough.
You weren't speaking into the mic.
And one of the issues here is that because of a vacancy in HR, we couldn't post a position, but I know we've since filled an HR position. Is there a reason why we can't hire and not have the contract, or is it fiscally better to keep a contract with Soliant versus having someone on staff?
I will have Mr. McFadden address that issue.
Okay, good evening. And so the question before us is related to Soliant. We had entered into a contract with Soliant for a school nurse position, started probably about 3 months ago. And at that time, as I stated within the board report, as we as the district needed some time to get together to come up with a job description, etc. We just weren't able to do that. I'm not sure that we're going to be able to have that in place for August, but more important than that is really the availability of school nurses. The individuals just are not available within the county. They haven't been, and so Soliant was our first opportunity to be able to fill that position in multiple years. It was probably 15 years, that we've tried to fill that position. The intent is certainly to have a district position. But I just don't think that we're ready for that for the coming up school year.
Because we can't get a job description ready, and then you said for 15 years we've been trying to hire someone because there's nobody available to hire, no nurses?
Yes. It's a combination. Number one, school nursing positions are very difficult to fill statewide. From a regional standpoint, Imperial Valley, it's been extremely difficult. I'm not aware of any school nurses that have been hired in multiple years. The individuals who have come in have basically been contract agencies similar to Soliant. So from a population standpoint, school nurses just aren't available. The competing factor has to do with placement within hospitals. Individuals that are school nurses are RNs, and then they need to take additional courses to work towards the school nursing credential. From a pay differential, there's no way possible for districts to be able to compete with the salaries in a hospital. Most of the time, individuals, if they specialize, can work part-time and make the same or more than they do within a district. So finding the position has just been very, very difficult down here.
We have tried. What did we do before? When did we sign something on 2/16/13? What were we doing before that for school nurse? We didn't have a school nurse?
No. No, we did not have a school nurse. We did have, and we continue to have, an LVN. But from her credential and licensing, it really limits the activities that she can engage in. And basically for the LVN, it was to fill a position more for direct services to students. We have some with medical conditions that require tube feeding or some other direct service that can only be given by an individual licensed or credentialed as an LVN, and so that's typically what her role had been for a number of years. She had helped out to a certain extent in some of the other activities that a school nurse would engage in, but really from a limited standpoint. The school nurse, we had contracted for a number of years just to get the state mandated screening, so the vision, hearing, scoliosis. That's been kind of an annual contract that the district has had. The reality is that we have some very complicated students, that we have and always have had a need for a school nurse or an individual with the RN level. And that's where we are at this point in time. We have the person that's contracted with us for this year has been doing an outstanding job. I believe we've made significant progress just in terms of our health care service and identifying areas that we need to improve and to refine in. But again, my position has been and continues to be, I do want to have this as a district position. But at this point in time, I just don't think that we're in the position to be able to find somebody. So the services are needed. There's just no one out there with that credential that's going to be able to provide it.
I do have a couple questions. We've already had at least 3 generations graduated from San Diego State with a bachelor's in nursing. Does that not fulfill some of the requirements?
No, this is up. It's further than the bachelor's. The individuals need to be a registered nurse, number one, and then secondly, they need.
Let me interject. By the time they come over here, they have to be a registered nurse in order to get into the nursing program at San Diego State.
And all of those are typically being picked up within hospitals. So even though the hospitals have to contract out of the area to be able to fill positions, the vacancies that they have. Nursing is just one of the positions, certainly locally as well as nationally, that is very hard to be able to fill the positions.
So in actuality, it's more the funding, or not funding, but the pay.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Not so much as the description, because I would imagine that the description, if we put our minds to it and give directive, we could generate a job description, but the problem is recruiting Someone who will work for what we pay for,
Exactly.
in a nutshell.
And just the recruiting process then has been what? When we say that we've struggled to find someone for 15 years, and is it that we don't have a job description, or we haven't flown it, and we haven't
flown it.
recruited?
Well, we haven't been
Why
able to
not?
find anybody. Now, in those 15 years, I was here, at least 10 of those 15 years, on an annual basis, we tried to find a school nurse. We couldn't find anybody that was available. We couldn't find anybody that was close to meeting the requirement that would be interested in pursuing the second step. And so just finding, the individuals that were interested in would work within the school system as opposed to within a hospital setting. At least for me, for a 10-year period, we weren't able to find anyone, and we looked diligently on an annual basis. I'm assuming for the 5 years that I wasn't here, the same thing had occurred.
So prior to February of this year, what were we doing then for all of the students that you said we're now doing really great in servicing health-wise?
I tell you what, we were barely getting by. That's what we were doing. I think part of this with the issue is also one of two things. Number one, making sure that we're providing the appropriate services to the students that we have, and the second piece is really an issue of liability. And in terms of what we were doing previously, we were meeting the needs of the students. I don't think to the extent or to the level that we could have. There was a number of things from a procedural standpoint that were falling down. And again, it's only because we didn't have the personnel to be able to focus specifically on those issues. So we were able to manage as we had for several years. But just getting by and managing is really not the best practice.
So you're saying that, there were specific medical procedures or treatments that needed to be done by a trained professional?
Well, yeah. So for example, diabetes is probably one of the largest issues that we're facing within the school. In terms of the treatment, the follow-through, etc., it really is an RN that needs to engage with the parents, families, and the physicians. So we have, in terms of administration of insulin, not everyone can do that. There are certain procedures that only an RN can do, training that can be provided by the RN, and those are some of the elements that we just have not been able to do consistently because we haven't had individuals with that classification to be able to do it.
I have a question. Now that we have a very capable HR director, what about if we try to recruit somebody? You're stating, or somebody's stating here, that the annual cost shouldn't cost more than $104,000. So if we're willing to spend that much on this company, why don't we just try to hire a school nurse ourselves? She's here. If you could work with her, I know you're laughing. We're gonna put you to work. Okay. What about if we try to do that? If we try to get somebody of our own instead of contracting with all these companies?
That's fine. I have no invested interest in Soliant.
I know. Yeah.
So that's okay with me. But be aware that if we do that, then we're going to have to end the contract with the individual. The individual working with us is probably going to go somewhere else, and then the issue is, will we be able to find somebody to come here if we do not fill the position locally?
Do we have a standing
it's just
contract?
just an FYI.
Perhaps
Sorry.
Perhaps we can go, and this is based on whatever the overall vote is, but maybe going forward with the service agreement and with the understanding that Mr. McFadden will work with the Human Resources to address it and see if we can get something for the 14-15.
Yeah, that's fine. Or if, with the service agreement, would you prefer that instead of for a contract year, that we do it potentially through January, and that if we don't come up with something at that point
Just
in time, we
extend
go
it?
back to the company and to extend it?
How do you feel about that?
I mean, it provides for both of us, both the individual who is here in terms of preparation of leaving, and if we do find someone, it's okay.
Yeah.
But just to let you know, even with Reliant, I had interviewed 5 individuals before we found this one individual that had the qualifications and the interest of coming down here. So I'm just, the position is difficult to fill. And, you know, really, the same thing is here. So, you know, whatever the direction of the board is, I'm happy to follow.
I'll call for the question, and let's go to the vote. Is there a motion?
I would like to motion, go with the motion, but as stated, that instead of being a full year contract, that we put a provision that in January, as a I don't know if it would be a semester or in January, we should look at it again.
And make the decision then to
Yeah, exactly. To
extend it?
renew.
Okay.
To renew.
There's a motion as stated. Is there a second?
As I understand the motion is to amend, or to amend the service agreement so that it is only for the first semester of the upcoming school year.
With the exception that if nobody is hired, that we continue with that MOU until the end of the school year.
That's something separate. You initially said that you wanted to extend it for the semester, bring it back in January, and then decide to renew.
Okay, exactly. I retract that. I will retract that. Yes, exactly, as you were saying.
Is there a second to the amended motion?
Second.
Second by Zuno Vizcarra. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Trustees,
Yes?
Mrs. Burgos needs a clarification on what the exact motion was.
The motion was to approve the service agreement between Selite Health Incorporated and CUSD for the school nursing services for the 2013 first semester. Bring it back in January for either extension or termination if we find someone locally. That clear? Okay. Item 3. That was Mr. Kim. Correct?
Yes.
All right.
Page 5 of 18.
Page what?
Page 5.
Yes.
In the middle says California Consulting LLC. We paying them for the retainer every month?
I believe we terminated that contract, but Ms. Randall?
That is correct, board members. We did terminate the contract, but we had to give a 30-day notice, so this was the last payment of the contract.
Thank you.
February? February?
Yes, the February payment.
Okay.
So this is the last pay for the contract.
That is correct.
The other one is page 9. At the middle, GCL LLP, $12,862. That's for the March bill. I think I didn't see the February ones.
I'm pretty sure that we paid the February bill, Mr. Kim, but I can double check and verify
Okay.
that.
And the $12,000 for we paying the GCR.
That is
Case.
correct.
Looks like it's just only my case only.
You're probably right.
So we spending $12,800 for my case.
Yes,
For the
sir.
lawyers.
More than likely.
Okay. That's what the board wishes.
There are other issues.
There are other issues that GCR is still addressing that they were addressing before their contract was terminated, and we are still addressing some of those issues. So therefore, they are still the attorney of record for those particular issues.
I have final pages. We have $4.6 million cash left over from general fund. This one, of course, after our payroll counted.
No, our payroll's not included in that, Mr. Kim.
I believe we were requested that our payroll is implementing, because our payroll report has to be middle of the May. We have to report it. So we have a money amount coming out. We can deduct from here.
Correct. And again, payroll isn't issued until May 31st. So cash in bank or the withdrawal is on May 31st.
Ms. Randall, has this question been asked before?
Yes, we asked them.
Yeah, you asked it last month too, and
about 2 months ago.
That we
2 months ago, we were 2 or 3 months ago, we were requesting the payrolls included here.
And the question that's the question you asked last time, and the answer that you received is the same one as today, that payroll doesn't generate until the end of the month.
No,
and
that
so
time we were requested since the June of the middle of the month, the reporting to the county. We have an amount to come out, we can put it in the pay list report. And I believe that once they did it, and the last time when I asked it, they were early month, so it's not enough time to put it on. That's why I was expecting these ones should be in there.
Madam President, what I think Mr. Kim is referring to are the payroll totals that come on the employment reports.
And when are those generated?
What's on the current employment report, or which was on the last employment report, was for the April payroll. And because we don't have all of the totals, because sometimes we have adjustments in our supplemental, it will come on the June 11th board meeting, or in that packet for the May payroll.
Yeah.
So what I was requested was a couple months ago, the middle of the month, we need to send all the information, payroll information, to the county. So we already have a number how much you would be paid that month. That's why I requested deducted from the pay list, so we can have actually how much cash we're gonna have on hands, and then end of this month. So in case of this, if we didn't deduct the $4.6 million from the cash, that means our payroll total more than $4.6 million or less than $4.6 million for this month.
Well, it depends. We have different time cards that come in. It fluctuates. Our payroll fluctuates based on extra hours and what the board approves, for extra assignments and whatnot. So I can't tell you exactly what the May payroll is, because we do supplemental payrolls for May as well. So you'll get that total on the June 11th employment report as to how much the actual payroll was for the month of May.
Yes, but what I'm saying is supposedly we paying this month for the last month's work. So we supposed to have about June 15. We supposed to have all the payroll information is there. So we could have deducted from this report. So we're gonna know how much payroll we're gonna have end of the month.
We don't pay a month in arrears for payroll. For example, the May 31st payroll is for the month of May, which is why I can't provide you with the total, because we make adjustments in payroll for missed time cards and things like that for the month of May, and that information will be available on the June 11th employment report.
So how we can pay we have to send the information, payroll information, middle of the May, and how we can pay the May works, because it's not working done yet.
That's the system in which we operate, Mr. Kim, and if there are adjustments that need to be made, they are made in a future month. So if there are adjustments for May, like say for instance, if a person needs to be docked on their payroll because they missed a couple of days of work in May, they will be docked in June.
So whatever, depending on the 15th, our report, before the 15th report, we're gonna pay anyways. So for the future months, we're gonna adjust it.
That is correct.
Yes.
Yes.
So we can see how much money cash left over this end of this month, because we already predicting how much we're paying.
Well, and again, we do the supplementals, and those are, it changes for the month of May if we process supplemental payrolls.
So we don't know how much we're paying every month, briefly.
Well, I can estimate, and I've given that estimate numerous times. It fluctuates between 4.5 and a $5 million monthly payroll.
Okay,
Call for the question. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve.
Motion by Calderon. Is there a second? Second by Zuno Vizcarra. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 No.
Motion passes 3-1. Item G5. Mr. Kim.
G5, I believe we have a self-evaluation for the preschool. So I see lots of areas we have a finding. So we're gonna fix the by before the school starts. G5.
Which findings are those, Mr. Kim?
Well, for example, key finding from the environmental rating scale, serious
acres.
hazardous.
Okay, some of them we're working on. We've put them already in our school DUT, so they will be working on some of those over the summer. And then I did speak to Dr. Spencer that I would have to follow up at the beginning of the school year to see what has been done over the summer. One of the issues we had was that Campesino Unidos trailer that is there and hasn't been removed, so that is one of our issues. Other items are like the sand being refilled. Some of our equipment needs to be replaced and repainted, so there's work orders that are being put in place for those. So we would have to go back in September, August to see how much was done, and then do more follow-up on those.
So can we do before the school starts all this?
There's a deadline to submit. We have to submit this by June the 3rd, so that has to be submitted. But then we can always do follow-up at the beginning of the school year.
Okay, so I don't want the parents complaining after the school starts. And the other one is, I believe what I'm understanding, last year when we was talking about eliminating the preschool, we were having issues. We can ask for more money for the state. So I don't know. I believe it's not your areas. Probably school district. We can ask more money for the next year's preschool. And also, I was disappointed. I was warning several times. The Child First Commission, they have a $250,000 grant for the under 5 years old preschool grant, and our school district doesn't apply. You could have more service.
Mr. Kim, are you done with your questions regarding the state preschool program?
Yeah, that's all I've done.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve?
I make the motion to approve it.
Motion by Mr. Kim. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Zuno Vizcarra. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes 4-0. Item G6, approve quarterly report. Mr. Kim?
Well, I think this is the first time I've seen the honestly report we have on Williams reports. And every time they said only we had one or we didn't have anything, and now we have several cases. So if we have these ones keep coming in, how come our school district prevent to have the complaint? If we have to do diligence to work harder to provide the necessary service for our children. We don't have to wait until parents and children complains. And for them to fill the form to encourage, they have some big step for them to fill the form.
What's your question, Mr. Kim? I'm not understanding you.
My questioning is, So why we have to wait until parents fill the form? In case of, if we do due diligence service, we should be prevented, proactive.
Okay.
And even I'm pretty sure they verbally been complained it. That time, if we did it fix right away, the parents, they don't have to fill this form.
Okay. Dr. Estrada?
I'm not sure. Okay, I'm not certain as to what the question is, but I will highlight that on the report or on the letters dated March 28th and March 21, it indicates that we are in good standing in two areas. Number one is the facilities or the condition, and the sufficiency of textbooks, which is a big item under Williams legislation. In terms of preventive measures to avoid the complaints, it is a process that we have called the UCP, and that's an opportunity for the public or for our community to voice their concern about what's wrong with the facilities. However, anything that goes to the UCP, it does not mean that it's a violation of the Williams Act. It is that it's a process, and we do an investigation and we submit the work order. So that is part of the process to get things done.
Let me ask, if I may, a question of you. Is there any process or any body on a school site, any given school site, that does a walkthrough periodically, say every month, and go through the campus, go through a checklist and saying, okay, where are we? So in terms of preventive actions to ensure that we don't have a lot of Williams Act violations or reports filed.
It was a good question.
There are two walkthroughs. One that actually gets done by in working with ICOE. They actually do a walkthrough along with our administrators. So that takes place within the first 20 days or 20 instructional days. Then that's the first report. Now the other way that we monitor is they visit again and they follow up on certain areas that they were identified. So that's another method where the administrators walk around the campus and try to identify any possible issues with our facility. So to my knowledge, that's two different ways of being preventive.
And both ways, from what you're telling me, are externally triggered, not internally. In other words, what I'm saying is...
That is correct, yes.
So maybe we need to, I think... if
Our site principals do their walkthroughs of their campuses, either on a daily basis or every other day, depending on the availability of their time and the issues at hand. But you know, I become aware of instances, or Mr. Martinez becomes aware of instances through the walkthroughs that the principals do on their campuses, you know, of issues that come up, you know, and or through their maintenance and operations staff that is based at their site.
So is it a monthly walkthrough?
Some of them do it daily. It just depends on the administrator.
Okay.
I see that, Mr. Kim, I'm sorry for asking, but are you saying that we had complaints? I only see one complaint, and it seems like it was resolved. So are you saying that there were complaints, or what is it that you're asking, Mr. Kim?
Well, I think my English is not enough to explain them. I was saying is, first of all, we have to have a proactive before the complaint. And I think it's a good question Ms. Aguilar was questioning, do we have somebody do process for the proactive? And second thing is, before they file the forming, they're supposed to have a verbal complaint to the school. And if they take it, when they have a verbal complaint, if we took care of it, we should not have to file the complaining. I'm not saying is they didn't solve the problem. I said the proactive, why we have to wait until parents file the complaint. And third one, and I didn't say, I didn't have a chance yet, and Ann Mallory, county superintendent, wrote a letter March 28th, I believe 28th, yes. We have 17 teachers, no assignments. The class, 17 class have been no assigned teachers. Do we fix this one?
That issue has been corrected, as stated in one of the letters. The second letter states that the problem with the misassignment specifically has been corrected as of December.
Okay, misassignment, but what about the 17 teachers vacancies?
Vacancy, that is correct. So both issues were taken care of. Yes, we did hire some teachers by the end of the second semester, which is, again, it's stated on the letter that it was cleared.
So I wish next year we don't have this kind of letter.
Okay. Are you finished with your questions, Mr. Kim?
Yes.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve?
I move to approve.
Motion by Calderon. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Kim. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. Mrs. Ambris, we go to item H1.
Yes. Okay, Mr. Martinez just stepped out of the room. And
Mr.
this
Martinez?
is Mr. Martinez? Okay, and this is just to approve the agreement for the inspection services with Mr. Hartline for the DSA projects that we have.
Good evening, Raul Martinez. This is a continuance, this agreement for Doug Hartline Services, their inspector. He would be the inspector of record for the additional work that we did, or we're going to do for the Calexico High School that has to do with the Whitehorn construction. That would be the additional ADA accessibility compliance. Doing that work now, it mandates that we have an inspector of record. I would have wished I would have had his agreement with me at the last meeting, but he turned it in just a few days ago. So that's all we have.
Mr. Martinez, have we? I'm sorry, Mr. Kim, I skipped you. Do you have any questions?
You got the question. You already did.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Kim.
Go ahead. You start first.
No, we start from the left.
I've never known the rules, and we have started from the left. Go ahead first.
Thank you. Have we talked about this, Mr. Martinez?
In regards to?
About
It was on our agenda last time, and we continued it to this agenda.
I didn't do my homework on this, but doing this not to exceed $30,000. You were last time we talked about ADA, the compliance, and doing all that. Is this part of what we talked about last time?
It is. Yes, it is. What this is now that we're going to do the additional ADA or the DSA, Division of State Architect accessibility compliance work, now what a DSA mandates is for us to have an inspector of record at all times at that school site during that particular project to make sure that all the work is all the work that's being done is done as per DSA, Division of State Architect. What we have is Mr. Doug Hartline. He's been the inspector of record for the school district for the past, I'm going to say, at least 15 years that I know of. He is a certified state inspector. He's also doing the other earthquake projects that are ongoing at this point. What we didn't have at the time, last meeting when we talked about the additional ADA compliance work, was his agreement to move on with his work. Okay. And we capped it at $30,000 to make sure that they don't go overboard. And looking at the hours that he should be inputting in there, it'd be either $75 an hour or, at this point, $30,000 to do all this work.
All right.
Are there any further questions?
Yeah, I have some questions.
Mr. Kim?
Did we go to the RFP process? Or?
We can go for requests for proposals or qualifications for another inspector. He's been doing a great job for us. If that's what something that the board is looking for, we can move on that direction. But at this point, he's the one that's been conducting all that type of business or being our state inspector for the Division of State Architect projects.
But the transparency on the community and also try to get the costs down, I believe we should go to the RFP process.
Okay.
Is there a motion? Is there any further discussion?
Yes, going through RFP process would prolong this work by how long?
At the very least, 8 weeks.
I have a question. Has there been any problems with Heartline Services?
No, there hasn't. He's been doing a very good job for us. He
What-
looks out for the district's interest first of all.
Okay, is there any further questions, board members?
I just have one more question.
Yes.
So we've been using this person or this company before, or we've used them before, right?
That is correct.
How long?
I'd say about 15 years, 10 to 15 years. His first project here was when they did the modernization at De Anza Junior High that I know of. He was also the project inspector for the Jefferson project, the high school modernization project for Enrique Camarena, and those other type of work throughout the earthquake process.
So he's proven to be trustworthy and,
Yes, he has.
okay. No more questions.
Okay, is there a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve.
Motion by Calderon, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Zuno Vizcarra. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 3-1. Discussion items. Number 1, I-1, class size reduction. Mr. Calderon, you asked for this to be placed on the agenda?
Yes, ma'am. And looking back at how we as a district are moving forward, and as the times in front of us are going to hopefully get better, but also are going to ask more from our teachers. I thought I'd bring this idea to the board because I've seen other districts where they do implement class size reduction, QEIA, in other schools, and it works. Class size, having at least in the K-3 level, it does work. So I thought I'd just bring it up and talk about this because this is, of course, for next school year. When we look at all kinds of data about how the students perform and how students do, and not only test-wise but also discipline and other issues, it shows. I think it will be beneficial for our kids, at least for next school year, K-3, to implement something like 22-1, and I think I asked did you bring those figures? Were you able to? I know you're busy, but were you able to bring up those figures?
I'm gonna ask you to hold off right now because I want to apologize to Mr. Ureña. I needed to have called him up because he asked and I overlooked it. Mr. Ureña, you want to come up and? Okay.
No, Mr. Ureña, that's fine.
Okay,
That's
come
fine.
on in. Come on up.
Go ahead. No, that's fine. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
That's not
I missed it.
the way there.
Alrighty, good evening everyone. My name is Raul Ureña, and of course I'm going to talk about class size reduction. I think it's a very good idea. I'm glad Cito brought it up. It's something that I've been advocating for a long time now, for about a year. But it's not the only thing. It's just a tip of the iceberg to me. We also need to focus on the quality of the education because having class size reduction and having Common Core is something that is just gonna facilitate the teacher instructing the material. However, if we if we don't have good material to teach the students, if we don't monitor what the students are learning, we're never gonna be outstanding. We need to do more than what the standards ask us to do. Usually when we start a school year, our goal is to meet the standards, to be proficient, and done. We never want to go over the standards, and I think that should be our goal. Not just to reduce class sizes, but to improve the quality of education as a whole, in that sense, to aim higher than the California standards. Now, an idea I've always had, something that Calexico Unified School District has always been lacking, is a homeschooling program. I've always been a fan of homeschooling because, number one, it's cheaper for both the school and both for the parents. I would like to see some sort of school voucher program where a parent could opt out of sending their kids to school and instead have their money back and them teach the material or hire a tutor or however they want to go about it. I think it would be a nice experiment, and it could bring about a higher quality education. Thank you.
Thank you.
We go on to item I2, baseball and softball lights.
Okay,
Oh, I'm sorry. Forgive me. I'm sorry. Please go ahead, Mr. Kim.
okay. I think Mr. Ureña was involving for about 2 years, year and a half. This one, K3 grant, I've been chasing for last 4 years. And even every board meeting or last board meeting, I brought the number of the month. Every year we're losing this K3 grant because we have overpopulated students. The school district keeps saying to us, we're not losing, because we're not losing the fund, but we are penalizing because we have more number of students. And last was called the workshop, they was mentioning again, over 24 they're going to be penalized. So if we don't keep the K3 under 24, we're going to be penalizing money. We're going to penalizing grant, which is we don't do anything for the children except harming them. So we should keep the 24 students in the classroom K through the 3rd grade. If they're not, they're going to lose it. Now, Mr. Calderon was mentioning about CURE program. I was warning last year, if we lose it, we're going to lose the money. The last couple of months ago, unfortunately, we lost CURE programs because we didn't keep the 20 students in the classroom. We lost we have to pay back the money for this year, and we lost for the next year. And even new board member come in, I was asked the superintendent brought into we might to fix it, and we didn't fix it. So now we lost the CURE program completely. It's about almost doesn't cost us nothing to keep 1,000 kids in the 20 kids in the classroom when we couldn't do it because we not do diligent for the care for our numbers. For the future, if we don't want to lose money, we have to keep the 24 kids in the classroom, kinder through 3rd grade. That way, we're not losing the money, and at the same time, we can serve our kids better.
Just to add to that, and I think to clarify, Mr. Kim, your point, the 24-to-1 is something that the state would expect us to transition to within the next 7 years, and the penalty comes if something isn't negotiated otherwise in a teacher's contract. Otherwise, there is no penalty if you go over 24 if the contract says something different. So I just want to clarify that. But I also want to add that I think there's a lot of value to class size reduction, in particular in the K3 area, or prior to that in our transitional kinder. I think there's a lot of value in catching the kids when they're a lot younger. And I think one of the things we should look at is when you reduce the class size, the idea should be, and a lot of statistics will report this, the idea is to catch the kids that and intervene as early as possible. And I think for this district to offer those types of interventions, we need to also make sure that we have enough counselors on site, that we have a lot of other programs on board. And with that comes also the idea of, what are we doing and what's the vision that we're following? Because again, I go back to, we put a lot of great ideas out here, but if we don't tie it into a bigger vision, we're going to be chasing a lot of ideas down. So class size reduction is great. It's also written into the new local control funding formula, and that's where this all comes from. So it's somewhat of a mandate, I guess, of sorts, but a negotiated contract would trump the 24-to-1, so we wouldn't have any penalties.
That's true. That's true, but I don't think our teachers going to be approved of more than 24 students in the classroom for the K-3. They are care for our children.
Mike, could we, did you generate those reports, or could you get back to us with those reports?
Sure, I'd be happy to provide a summary from the May Revise that talks about class size reduction in its current form, and then the transition through the local control funding formula, as well as kind of put together a scenario as to where we are averaging now, K through 3, and if we were to transition down, and what the requirements are, and I can have that in your Friday board packet.
Yeah, because I think, like I mentioned before, I think it's very important, and we have to do it. So it's just we're gonna have to see how we want to start, and of course there's 5 of us. So, but we need to look at it and see what is it that we can implement next school year, and what is it that we can do the following year, and so on and so forth.
Sure, I'd be happy to put that in your Friday board packet.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, we'll go on to I2, baseball and softball lights. Last board meeting, we gave direction to place this on the agenda, and we have Ms. Samarripa or Mr. Samarripa speaking. Ernie? Alex?
There we go.
Okay. I'm sorry, Mr. Flores.
Good evening. Hello? Oh, there you go. Good evening. My name is Alex Flores. I am the current head softball coach at Calexico High School. And before I get started, I'd like to thank the board for giving us this opportunity to be here tonight. I especially like to thank Ms. Aguilar, Ms. Ambriz, and a special thank you to Janet Burgos for their support and all their hard work that they gave us this year. I'm here tonight because I'd like to have the board, along with our program, explore the possibilities of having our fields lighted. As we speak, we are the only softball and baseball program in the entire valley that do not have their facilities lighted. And it has created a problem with our student athletes in the sense that when they have to leave school early, there are teachers out there that are not supportive of them and do not give them an opportunity to have them make up their homework. This has been expressed to me on several occasions by several athletes, and unfortunately it has affected their grades. So we are in dire need of trying to resolve this problem. Every year we have a total of 6 league games that we play here at 3:15. And that means that our athletes need to be excused from the classes at a 1:30 start time, and that does create a problem. So having lights would be a tremendous advantage for not only our students here, but also the city of Calexico. As we speak, we have a tremendously large recreational softball league that has anywhere from 275 to 350 young ladies participate in. And at the moment, they can't run a program during the summer because there are no lighted facilities. There are facilities, but as you well know, we have a Little League program that uses most of them on pretty much on a nightly basis. So that means that our softball girls have no place to go. I could see in the near future where we could get into a situation like the situation with our gym at De Anza, where not only the city uses it, not only the school district uses it, but also the children of the community. And by doing so, I think that we could have a program year-round where those facilities would be taken advantage of. Same thing happens with our baseball field. We have to have our boys get out at a certain time to play their home games. And I'm sure they're in the same boat as my girls are at, where it affects them academically. So I think that if we could tonight start the process and explore the possibilities of having our program, our facilities lighted. It would be something that would be a great advantage for our kids, not only the high school athletes, but also every young girl in Calexico. I have an athlete here tonight that would like to speak. I don't know if I could give up the podium to her, but I don't know what the process is.
Your time is up, but we'll extend it.
Okay.
Come on up.
She is a graduating senior, the only senior I actually have on my team, and
you can do it.
So yeah, she's very, very nervous, but once she gets going, you won't be able to shut her up. I guarantee you.
Come on up, mija.
Sandra Rosiles.
You weren't expecting that, huh?
No.
It's okay.
Okay, well, I just believe this is very important for us because, like Coach said, it does affect us academically. A lot of the girls had a lot of problems, including myself. And I think it's very important because in high school ball, I'm going to be the only one leaving. And you know how we had a lot of success this year, and these girls, they're going to keep working. And I think it's better for us to have lights because we usually play night games. When it's our away games, we play night games. And it's very different playing at night than playing during the day. It's the different way you see the ball and everything. So we get more away games than we do home games, so I believe that would help the girls a lot. And it's very hot to practice during the day right after school. I've had a couple heat strokes here, so I think that's some of the major reasons why we should work on this. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Board members, do you have comments? Mr.
Yes,
Kim?
I have this one. I think I'm glad for Mr. Flores brought this one. Even myself. I'm sorry, I'm emotional. I hate to see my son overnight after the game. After the school function, he stays sometimes 2 hours, only sleep, to finish his homework. I understanding we the only ones not doing it. Other school district, the teachers giving the when they have games, they give extended their homework deadline, but we not the only them not doing it. And they have a school function, they have to participate in mock trial, and a lot of function, they couldn't do it. And I see my son myself overnight a lot. I'm glad that he's not here, and sadly, I'm glad he's visiting right now. So he's gonna leave it tomorrow to go to Malaysia. And I think as a school board member, we need to consider our children's their health issues, and also their I believe Mr. Flores mentioning their GPA is involved in this. We need to give them a little break on that. And also, I believe we might gonna be facing again I think it's about 2 weeks ago, 2 months ago, we're talking about the first period for the what's called the
athletes.
Yeah, athlete for the general period. I think we have to consider to accept that one to give our children to enough to they have a chance to same chance like other school district. We're not trying to do something other school district not doing it. Actually, we are the one who's not doing it to giving the hardship our children.
Thank you, Mr. Kim. Mr. Calderon.
Thank you. Mr. Flores, for what I understand, we're asking what and this is one of my ideas as well, to bring the lighting to our baseball and softball fields. However, under CIF rules, it says that softball cannot be played on a baseball field because of the mount, right?
I don't know if that's a rule, but it should be.
Somebody told me that yes, that's a rule because of the mount.
Well, yes, of course, yeah.
Because Little League, they can do it. I know for Little League, you can play you can pitch forward and still have the mount. But somebody told me that for CIF, you cannot have the mount on a softball field.
Absolutely.
Okay, so if we add lighting to the baseball field, that will be for baseball. But then what would happen to softball? Well, we don't have a mount here in the baseball field.
My suggestion would be to light both fields.
Okay, all right. So I definitely approve this. I will definitely approve this because I know from experience what happens when you include sports and when you include extracurricular activities to a student's life. Okay. Now you mentioned something about, and you also did, Mr. Kim, about students not getting low grades. Now,
Not receiving the support. Can you come to the
Yeah,
can you
go
come to
ahead.
the podium, please?
Front and center.
Thank you.
Mr. Calderon, addressing your question, I will use one example. I have a young lady who is a junior. She's had a 4.2 GPA, and her parents came up to me and asked if I would go talk with Mr. Pesqueda about a certain teacher who's absolutely not cooperating with this young lady. And her concern are her grades. Softball comes second. And so, because of the mere fact that she misses class, and her teacher will not work with her, she's deathly afraid of having her GPA drop below a 4.0. The good thing is that she was able to finish the year with us, and I'm hoping that because she was going to do some homework that hopefully the teacher would accept, and at this point I don't know if it was accepted or not. But again, this would be a problem that will be greatly solved by us just being able to play under the lights.
Yes, and I like the idea of the lights on both the baseball and softball fields. The other day when you guys played the finals, being out there at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, it was not it was not good. And we are used to this 100-degree weather, but just because we're used to it doesn't mean that we have to endure it.
Well, if it happens again, Mr. Calderon, and we do go to CIF and we play them, I'm going to have it at 3 o'clock again so that we can have that advantage over them.
well, that's a different story. That's a different story.
That's
No,
true.
I definitely would not.
But that's a different story.
Honestly, Mr. Calderon, the day that we played Patrick Henry, their coach called me wanting to know if we could move the game to Imperial because of the lights. And I said, absolutely no way we would do that. So that was even San Diego knows that we don't have lights.
Yes, and but like I said, I definitely approve that. I would definitely support that. Also, going back to the grades is something that really bothers me, because if the girls knew beforehand that they were having these games, and if the teachers were told about these CIF games, I'm wondering why didn't the teachers weren't the teachers supportive of this idea? I
Absolutely.
know I know academics comes first. However, if we as a school district, if we don't offer the opportunity to our athletes to participate fully in our extracurricular activities, then we're not having students that are completely open to all options. So
Absolutely.
we will be limiting our students to academics, because they will be afraid to do anything else because of grades, and that's not what we're all about.
That doesn't create a full athlete.
Exactly, it doesn't
full student.
a scholar.
In my opinion.
So we'll have a chat about that, and hopefully, and you can have my word on this, it's not going to happen again.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
I do appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you.
Any other questions by
Do
the
you have
board?
any questions?
Well, just thank you for your presentation, and congratulations again to the girls for doing so well, and definitely you all need a lot of support. And I caught a couple of games at 3 o'clock and it was really hot, so my hats off to you for doing so great amidst the weather that we have, and so definitely we can support you. We sure will. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I do have a couple of comments there.
Yes, ma'am.
Like Mr. Kim and Mr. Calderon expressed earlier, I do have a big concern with that comment that our students are not getting the the backing or the support in terms of their academics, that should not come into play. You know, I mean, it's not like they don't know the schedule, they don't know that they're going to be out of class. You know, if we make accommodation if students travel, so I mean, I would say meet with the superintendent and ask that to be addressed specifically, because that's not. And that, which brings me to my second point, and I'm going to read something to all of you, which is, it says, Title IX of the Education Amendments of 1972 prohibits sex discrimination in educational programs that receive federal funds. While the law applies to all aspects of educational opportunities, it is probably best known for its application to sports. Title IX requires that schools, 1, provide male and female students with equal opportunities to play sports, 2, give male and female athletes their fair share of athletic scholarship dollars, and 3, provide equal benefits and services such as facilities, coaching, and publicity to male and female athletes overall. By not providing lighting to the girls' team and to the teams overall, we're doing both of you a disservice and a violation of Title IX. And I'll just put that, I'm reading that so that it'll become part of the minutes and part of the record, so that we hopefully motivates us as a district to move forward and make the changes, necessary changes.
Well, that would greatly be appreciated, and I do thank the board. Thank you very much. Good night.
Thank you.
Madam President,
yes, sir.
Mr. Moreno wanted to address the board.
Good afternoon, John Moreno, Director of Alternative Ed. I think what we need to do regarding the lights is contact the IID. One of the board members, I believe, is one of our teachers on the staff. Then probably work together with them and see what they can do to work with Irby Construction. Irby Construction is a company that puts up lights throughout the county, and they work closely with the IID. Find out what it is that Norma Sierra Galindo can do. If you like, I can call her, or I can call one of the other board members to see what the process is to put lights on these fields.
I'm supposed to see her this week.
Then you ask her the question, what can we do to get lights on the field? The field, for Belcher Field, for the baseball diamonds, they worked at one time. But I know Mr. Martinez and I had discussions on this, they're very dim. It's like a very romantic candlelight dinner. And they can't play baseball. So if you would talk to Norma Sierra Galindo, I can talk to a couple other board members myself. Just let me know what you want me to do.
Okay.
Thank you.
Madam President, may I? And Raul might be able to shed a little bit more light on this. Just as a reminder that we are in the process of going out for our facilities master plan, which would kind of also incorporate a needs assessment for the things that we need in our facilities, which would include lights. And that process, typically we do this through the RFP process, and Mr. Martinez might be able to speak a little bit to that.
Mr. Martinez?
Yeah, good evening. Do you want me to, on the facilities master plan or on the lighting?
Lighting.
Just the lighting, okay. You know, first of all, I'm a huge supporter of both baseball and softball. Not too many people know this, but I was a varsity coach for softball and a varsity coach for baseball. And so actually the softball field was I was the first coach that coached in that softball field, so I'm a huge supporter of that. But anyways, in lighting, you know, I hear Mr. Moreno talk about Irby, and Irby Construction helped us out a lot when we had the old lights at the baseball field, actually relighting them, putting new lamps and so forth. But we need to understand that we were just talking about just a little while ago that we needed a DSA inspector. Well, these lights, anything that we do on these fields, anything above 6 feet is going to require us, mandates us to go through the Division of State Architect. And obviously that's going to cost money. And, you know, I'd like to put everything on the table so that we all understand where we stand on this thing, and if that decision to go along with this is to put lighting, I mean, I'm all for it, but just listen to this. I don't know if someone has a calculator, but let me just read a few things here so that everybody understands where we stand. Okay, And these are just estimates that I'm pointing out at this point, all right? To do any work there, we're going to have to do a little bit of development and a little bit of demolition. That's about $15,000. Again, these are estimates, all right? The electrical switch gear and the service that we're going to need that from the IID, John. We're going to need that. That's where they can give us a break there. But we also need a switch gear and everything. That's going to cost us about $175,000. We're going to need the low voltage items, which is all the electrical to the light poles. That's about $20,000. And then finish the site development, you know, the walkways we talked about earlier in other meetings about DSA asking us to do pathways, path of travel to the restrooms and so forth. At this point, those fields have no path of travel. If you walk from the parking lot in, it's all dirt. If I'm somebody in a wheelchair, I'd be here really quick on this mic and talking to someone on that. So those would be things that we need to do, and that'll be another $25,000. The baseball field lights are taller and more lights that are needed for the baseball field. That's about $325,000. Softball field would be about $250,000. And when I say these light fixtures, you can go to a company and purchase them. However, we need to have our DSA inspector actually go see the welding on them and how they put them together before we can accept them. You know, you get these companies that will sell them to you, but that's not what we're looking for because DSA won't allow us to do that. If it was another type of job for the city, you don't need DSA inspections on any of that. So yes, you could do a lot of things a lot cheaper or inexpensive that way. The ADA improvements that we're talking about, we talked about 20, but another 5,000 for the south parking lot area to bring some sidewalks in. The field turf renovation, I put that in there because when you're doing this, you're going to tear up the fields and so forth. So some renovation for the fields, it'd be about $25,000. And the chain link fencing with the new gates, we need to have the panic hardware. We can't have the locks and so forth like we have. And by the way, they're legal because we haven't done any additional work. Once we start the work, ADA is going to ask us to do that. We're looking at about $7,500. Now, those in construction, you have hard costs and soft costs. What are the hard costs? Hard costs is what I just talked about. Soft costs are what we're going to pay the architect for that. So if we add up, we have about $847,000 for that work. So now we have an architect that needs to submit all these drawings and hire someone. You're looking at about $84,000 there. The soils report and surveys that you have to do, we have to do geotechnical work before we do any drilling for the holes where the base of the concrete is going to go for the pools. That's going to be roughly about $15,000. All the testing of that concrete would be an additional about $17,000. All right. The inspections per month that we're talking about, we're looking maybe $30,000 for that one time that they're putting all that together. The plan check through DSA is going to be another $10,500. All right. The printing of the sets to go out to bid, $3,700. And athletic equipment, we're looking maybe such as scoreboards or something like that. We're looking at about $50,000. Again, these are estimates. Okay, so soft cost, what is it? $211,000, total of about $1 million is what we're looking at if we want to do both fields as per Title IX.
I've got a question for you.
There you go.
$1,050,000 and what?
Okay.
720.
Thank you, Ms. Ambriz.
Okay. And I don't doubt your figures. But is there anything that we can do to mitigate the situation without maybe going into construction, thinking outside the box? Can we rent lights for them?
That would certainly be an option. Renting lights, I mean, that's always an option, but is it, you know, are you going to be doing that for how long and so forth? For every game, bringing this equipment in and so forth, there's going to be a rental fee. I see that more like what we're going through with the Varner Gym at this time. I'd say that if you're going to do something like this, if looking at Ms. Randall on that side, is if there's funding for it, we can do something like that. I mean, but I would, my recommendation would be is go all out and go do it if, again, if we can afford it.
We're going to make the effort, we need to.
Well, rather than just estimates, I would like for us to cost it out, if give direction to cost it out and see if what we can do. I mean, realize.
Well, I think, I mean, those figures they're great because they're probably to a T very realistic. We also have to consider a couple of other things. I think if you had the fact that we're denying access to, let's say, people with disabilities to enjoy the games, if any of you have family who is a person with a disability and cannot go see you at your games because we're denying access to them by not being accessible. When you think of the lawsuit that could be brought to the district, when you think of a class action lawsuit that could be very much be brought forward to the district, the cost of that outweighs your $1 million in a heartbeat. So I think we need to consider that, and we need to consider the fact that we've also neglected a whole population of people with disabilities from access and safe access to our games, as well as able-bodied. Our own athletes, I think, run the peril of being unsafe in the fields that we do have. So we need to look at our facilities, and we're looking at DSA to tell us what is right under the ADA and what is wrong. I think at a glance we know that we have a lot of access barriers in our facilities, tons of them. I cringe every time I come to the school because that's what I look at. And I look at everywhere where we're missing access, where we don't have appropriate parking. I could talk about the Calexico High School parking lot, but Mr. Pesqueira will look at me mean. But there are a lot of issues in our schools, and this is just one of them, and they're all costly. But when you think of lawsuits that could be brought against the district, that really outweighs that. But more than anything, what we're denying our community in terms of being able to go out there and support these kids is really kind of outweighs some figures. And maybe I'm talking like funding is no problem, but we should look at some real numbers and really look at what we want for this district, for our community. And athleticism and what you all bring to the board is so crucial, and it's so crucial. I don't think any educator here would have a rebuttal to me when I tell you that it goes hand in hand with someone doing really well in school and excelling in school. I mean, I, to whatever minor degree, was somewhat athletic in high school, and it really helped me. And so definitely, I mean, these kids that you're talking about, they have 4.0s and above, and they're stellar athletes. We have to support them, and we have to keep in mind that these things go hand in hand, and providing them access to facilities, to good working facilities, is something that we have to look at. And those numbers are scary, the $1 million, but I've seen and been a part of lawsuits that are tenfold that when you deny access to someone.
And another option is certainly that we do part of it in-house too. I mean, we have electricians that could handle all the electrical. We'd need companies to do some of the other work, obviously. We'd have to go and, like Mrs. Donaldson was saying, and Mrs. Ambris were saying, request for proposal, because we'll still need an engineer. I mean, I'm sorry, an architect that would hire the engineers that are needed. However, a lot of this work could be done in-house, where it would cut a lot of the cost. These were just simply estimates so that we know what we're talking about here, and then go from there. And absolutely we can lower some of it, but it's a decision has to be made what direction we want to go.
Mr. Martinez,
Yes,
is there any chance we can just put the lights, fix the lights first?
There's no lights at the field at all right now.
No post or nothing?
No, they were all removed during the earthquake. Actually, just the baseball field.
Earthquake. So we supposed to have money from those quick from FEMA for that money then.
Yeah, how much was it, Mrs. Donaldson?
That was 70.
$75,000 is all they gave us for that.
Yeah. But yet, on the other hand, if we want to construct something new, we have to abide by all of these
Correct.
high standard regulations.
Yep. So can we go for the FEMA again for those kind of regulations? We can not cost us more than that. Do they figure?
We've tried, and what they say is they'll do repairs as it was before, pre-disaster. So they want wooden poles, which is something we don't want to go through again. They want the old type of lights. They want overhead lighting. We had 12,000 volts lines running around the fields there, which is something we want to avoid. We want to go underground, those type of things.
Okay.
That's correct.
Can we give direction to, give a hard cost out?
So you want us to go through the bid process, through the RFP process for lights on the softball field and the baseball field? Is that what you're asking?
Okay, well, Mr. Martinez first.
So
think what? Well, I don't know. What is the wish of the board?
Well, I would like for Mr. Martinez and Mike to get together
And then come back and give us.
come back and give us a. But it's going to happen. I mean, we're going to have to do something about this. But the first thing that we need to do is to.
What's the actual cost? I mean, can you provide a? That's the closest that we can get.
Okay, well, because I'm not an electrician or I'm not an architect, I can't give you an exact cost. So we would have to go out to.
Well, we have.
Okay,
we have electrician. We have, like, for example, Mike Wilcox. Can't we ask Mike to come in and give us a cost estimate?
So as a suggestion, two different ways here. One is we need to get an architect because we got to file through Division of State Architect. When that happens is we inform the architect that all the electrical or the items that we can do in-house, we do in-house, so that when it goes out to bid, when the day comes for that, they'll exclude that portion of the work and leave it to us. So that would mitigate a lot of the construction work there. So my two things is, one is getting a request for proposal for an architect, and then thereafter I'd work with our staff to get some real numbers in regards to the electrical, and it would be the electrical switchgear, which would bring in the power, and then also the actual underground and so forth, those type of things that we could do, and the materials for all that.
Okay, and that's just the one aspect, because then we still have to be ADA compliant.
That's
doing the field and all of that stuff. So we would still need estimates from outside vendors to do those types. So that's what I'm just trying to get a clear direction.
So that's what I'm saying. I'm saying, Mr. Martinez and Mike get together and see what is it that needs to be done, how many RFPs we need to get out, and then come back with a proposal.
Right. But we need to give direction to them to do it. She can't do it in a vacuum. She can't say, we can't just tell her, okay, do what you need to do. We need to say, go, as a board.
He just spoke for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So everything that he said that we needed to do.
Okay, so is there a general consensus by this board to give direction to administration to go forward and evaluate the feasibility of it and get it and come back with a report? Is that clear? Okay. Thank you. And well, hopefully it'll come on to the agenda fairly soon. We'll keep you posted. Item I3, cell phones and stipends. This was placed on by 2 board members. Ms. Ambriz, or any of the...
I believe it was Mr. Calderon.
I just wanted to see what the well, actually, I wanted to see what the past practice was on this. I was approached by members of other districts, and they will tell me what is it that we were doing, and I just wanted to see what is it that we used to do, because I know as of right now, Ms. Ambriz doesn't have that, right?
That is correct. None of our district administrators have cell phones or stipend or cell phone stipends.
Okay. Did we used to? What did you guys used to?
I believe at one time we did, and I believe previous boards voted to eliminate the cell phone stipends.
Okay.
And or district issued cell phones for administrators.
Okay. Do we currently have a contract with a phone company that can do this?
We do have district issued cell phones for members of our staff, but not anyone on the administrative team. For example, people in our maintenance department, etc., especially for those who work in the after hours, after 4 o'clock, etc., they have the cell phone, the district issued cell phone for them, so that they can contact their supervisors, etc., in the event that they need to. Do we have a contract? I'll defer to Ms. Randall, on that?
We do have a contract for cell phone, like Ms. Ambrose was explaining. We also participate in the E-rate program, and one of the issues with that is it's for district use only, because we get reimbursed or get a discount and get some reimbursable items from the E-rate program. So, yes, we do have a contract through Verizon. That was your question, right?
Yes.
Okay, so yes, we do. And it is for, again, for district business, and there are some, folks on the, like, maintenance or bus drivers that need to have a means of communication in event of an emergency, that need to be able to contact the district at any given time.
Okay. I was going to talk about the incident with the Disneyland trip, but no, I'll stay away from that for right now. So, okay. So in the past, we used to have all the administration on with cell phones.
Prior to last year, as a cost-saving measure in the 11-12 school year, the board did vote to remove all stipends for administrators for cell phones.
Okay, so it was stipends. It was not actually.
It wasn't an actual cell phone. It was I believe it's a $50 a month stipend.
Okay. So it was a stipend. It wasn't.
Right. It wasn't
a district phone.
That is correct.
Would that be more expensive to have a district phone than a stipend?
I think it would probably be more expensive for the district phone, being since all of the phones are typically smartphones. There has to be a data package or something like that associated with the phone. So I would say it would be more expensive to have a phone versus a stipend.
But we will stop the stipend. So what we're saying is everybody to have their own cellular phone anyways. Their own cellular phone. A lot of people, they have their own smartphones, right. And we don't have to pay for what they're using. That's why the last board there was a stop at paying the stipends.
I know that I'm not sure what the reason was, but I know it was a cost savings effort, which is why the stipend was removed from administrators.
Okay, I'll talk to Maria about that later then.
Okay.
Okay. So we're done.
We're at board member closing comments.
Mr. Kim?
Yeah. I was sorry about a while ago. I was kind of emotional. And when I say about the children, and especially my son, I get more emotions. And because I don't show to my son my emotion, every time when he was suffer, I have to buy my lip to tough father. And when he needs something feeling to take care of his feeling, I send my wife. I have to be a tough father. And he complains, after a couple of months ago, he complained me that I'm never showing him the emotion. That I said, this is my job is not to show the emotions. Anyways, today, I have to say something. Today we have over 60 teachers, the grievance. And some of my supporters, my friends, they told me, Kim, don't go. Because the teachers' unions not helping you till you have a lawsuit from the school district, while you have to fight for them. My friends, they told me not to go. I had a little conflicting, but I have to say, regardless, teachers' unions, they helping me, my lawsuit from the school district, I still have to support my teachers. I need the teachers to promote it, they can be dedicated with our children's education. That's the reason I came today. And I'll do search all the legal facts. If the teachers are entitled to it, I'll be first one to support it. And I'm, excuse me, I'm glad we have good teachers, a lot of dedicated teachers to covering our unfunctional, the district teaching programs. And a while ago, Ms. Piscara was telling us a lot of things we've been missing. That's true. We have a lot of missing to taking care of our children in the right way. And fortunately, that we have good teachers and a lot of parents they're helping. And we still have a decent level of the students. They can work together to our children's education reaching in certain level. Actually, our school district, the administration level, and include the board members, failing to taking care of the children.
Thank you, Mr. Kim. Mr. Calderon?
Thank you, Madam President. I am very glad to see that what we are going, what the plans that we have for the future. I'm very glad that we are now talking about those. I have a hard time sometimes listening or having to listen to money problems. I'm not blind to the fact that yes, this is taxpayers' money, and that we need to be very, very, very careful when we talk on how we use this money. However, when we talk about the lighting system for the softball fields, when we talk about K through 3 class size reduction, these are not expenditures that I think will be in vain. Okay, I think it's very important that we maintain as a district, that we maintain our focus, which is our children, which is our students. A lot of people, they will try to play games with what we say and what we do regarding our district, and they may blame us for what we do. However, that is not going to, or that shouldn't stop us from doing what is the right thing, which is to move forward to help our kids. So I'm glad to see that that we have some projects for the future, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to bring up again that I know a while back we had talked about getting together, and we did, and I think we only got halfway done in getting together and working towards a vision and mission, and I think we mixed that in with a Brown Act sort of retreat, or I don't know what we called it, and I think that the second part of that is pending, where we were going to talk about a vision and a mission, and I think a lot of things that we talked about tonight and that we've been talking about, class size reduction, the lights in the fields, and accessibility, they're all important, but I don't think they should be coming up as just kind of individual topics here and there when we come across an issue. I think it should be something that we're sort of visionary about and forward thinking, and that we talk about it in great detail so that we know what we're working towards, and we can account for it financially, and it is important because we have to spend money on it. I know Mr. Kim many times talks about different grants that he comes across, and we might want to look at that and circle back around that so that we're all working towards something, because it's really difficult, at least for me, to look at things on the agenda and sort of approve them or look at items that are up for discussion that we're interested in and plan on moving forward on that and giving them priority. They're all important. They all have a lot of priority. It's difficult to number them, on a 1 through 3, because they're all really important. So we're working towards something. Adult ed, class size reduction. Mr. Dena has all these great ideas that he brings forward. Unless we know what we're working towards, it's going to be really difficult to see these things come to fruition. And I'm glad you brought up earlier the issue on some of the issues that happened on prom night and on grad night. I know I fielded, and I think I was with you the night before, but we fielded a lot of phone calls and complaints from parents on the issue on both nights. I'll tell you personally, only because I have a daughter that went to both events. So I got to hear firsthand some of at least her take on what these things were. But more than anything, I heard from a lot of parents, because maybe to some degree, kind of I concur with Mr. Kim, when my daughter would complain, I retreated to the tough parenting, and I said, well, ni modo. They took your purse, and just go, and if they don't let you into prom, I don't know, put on a sweater, and get in there, whatever it takes. And if you have to come back home, we'll party at the house. But it was really difficult to hear the stories from a lot of other parents that called and had a really hard time. So I'm glad you brought it up, and I hope it gets looked into. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Carter. First of all, I want to give my congratulations to the teachers and classified employees for all their contributions, and thank you for the service that you provide. I also want to share that I'm very proud of all the accomplishments that we have of our Calexico Unified School District students at all levels, elementary, middle, and high school. We've been receiving regular information from Ms. Ambris, and I would encourage all principals to provide that information, or encourage your staff to provide that information to us so that we can properly recognize them on the page, and so that we can stay informed and provide direct support to you. Along those lines, I do want to share that I'm working together with Dr. Lanusa, and that we will be showcasing an extravaganza, I guess we would call it, at San Diego State, featuring some activities that deal in the arts of dance and musical performance. It'll be on June the 4th, I think in the morning. It'll be district-wide. Do you want to speak to a little bit? Or I'll just send, if you can send out, we're working together on putting together a flyer, and we'll get that to the administration so they can send it out district-wide. Second, the other thing I want to do is want to personally welcome Ms. Washington. Thank you. I look forward to hearing from you, and I strongly encourage you to let's hit the ground running, because we've had several issues with human resources. One of the things that previous board and now current effective board has given direction, and we hope that you look into it, is making sure that all records are are correct and up to par, in terms of for our employees. I don't know, I know that's a huge undertaking, but I know that that's something that we have requested in the past, and it didn't get done. The other question I have is, when we gave direction to terminate the contract with the grant writing, we also gave direction to also provide, put out an RFP. We have not heard anything back. Did we put out an RFP? Are we in the process of hiring a new grant writer? And that's it for me. All right. Mr. Weiler, announcement of convening into closed session.
The board will now go into closed session in the faculty lounge to discuss the items listed in the agenda under item L. The board generally takes the items in order as listed. In terms of the continuation of the ACT grievance, when we get to that item, one of us will come out and see how many people we are here, and determine at that point whether we're going to come back into this room or have the hearing continue in the faculty lounge. And I should say that if
In order to expedite it, can't we move it up
sure,
to item 1?
yes,
Okay.
is it the board's pleasure though to first go
Is
into
that, are you,
is
Madam President, there's one issue that I think needs to be addressed first, and
okay, then item 2?
yes.
Okay. Is that okay with the rest of the?
Actually, we probably have two items that need to go first.
Okay. Item 3 then. Shall we? Is that the general wish of the board to pull up the ACT grievance to number 3? I need to have you verbalize it. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So we will go into closed session at 8:45.